Lee.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Jeff Burton, when he was in earlier, he said the take no prisoners attitude is more prevalent among the top 15 because you guys are all going for chase positions. Are you realizing that, or do you just think that now that there's not repercussion for, you know, really just racing, that more people are taking advantage of that?
I'm not sure what comes first, but from my standpoint, if someone wrongs me, I'm going to equal things out. And to me, some of it's having confidence of who I am and what I've accomplished in the sport, and I don't really need to take crap from people anymore. And as a rookie, I was very aware of I need to take 2 or 3 lumps before I pass one out. So there's something there that I have always maybe been a little different in that respect. But you know, NASCAR, I know there's a lot of focus on the fact they lightened up with penalties. I don't really think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, when I heard it, I thought, okay, well, now I can maybe get away with a cuss word, but it isn't going to change how I race and how people race me. I just think that the cars it's very difficult to pass. Track position is more important than it's ever been. And guys are fighting for that track position and doing some things that aren't necessarily fair. And it could be the guy passing or the guy blocking, and then a feud starts. And after a couple weeks of that, you're like, the hell with it. I spent 15 laps chasing this guy, and he ran me all over last week. I'm sending him. So you send him, and then he goes home. He's like, okay, well, when the chance comes back, I'm going to send him. And this energy has been created from that. That's my opinion, more than the rules have been lightened, you know, and you can get away with saying what you want.
Burton says he's afraid, though, he doesn't want to become Demolition Derby. Or you seen any of that?
Yeah, and I think I know when I'm around people, I still try to respect them and race them like they race me. And I think you'll see a group of cars kind of race that way and then chaos. And I know when I get around Jeff Burton, you know, I can race him hard. If I run him over, he's going to come run me over. So there's certain guys you know how to race. And I think you'll see a bigger separation in that now. It used to maybe be a group of 10 to 15 cars that would play the give and take game, and now it's down to 3 to 5. So I think the numbers are just shifting.
We'll go Rich and then Nate.
Hi, Rich Thompson, Boston Herald. Speaking of rookies, what's Danica Patrick going to have to do to be successful in this sport and particularly on this race course?
It's just time in both cases. And, you know, to come in and run a handful of races in a year and to test, you know, with the testing restrictions that we have, it's going to take even more time for her to get comfortable at this track and in these cars. And, you know, she's a race car driver. She is capable of being successful in this sport, but it's going to take time. And that's the hardest part, is to say, okay, you know, for the next 3 to 5 years, I'm going to have to make mistakes, be in the spotlight because she clearly, you know, commands a big presence when she's around, and take all of the negative that comes with it as she is learning her way. But at some point, it'll click for her. We look at Juan, and I think Juan was all in when he came on top of being a very talented guy that can drive anything. And he's proven that through all the things that he's raced. And we watched other great open-wheel greats come in like Dario, and he wasn't here long enough to really get his feet under him. Sam has been here for a few years, and he's still trying to figure out the difference and the balance. So it's not an easy crossover, and in the end, it just takes time.
Nate?
Just to follow up with that, I mean, how much respect do you have for Danica even to try this, given that, you know, she's going to have to go back and forth with the different series?
Yeah, I go and run a few Grand Am races a year and leave my comfortable world of running up front and having that mindset that comes with knowing you're going to be one of the players in the game, to making sure you're not the slowest person on track and not making simple, stupid mistakes, spinning the car out on cold tires. I mean, the whole mindset changes from being aggressive to all of a sudden being defensive. And it's a totally different way to act on track. So I do sympathize with her on the project, and commend her for taking, you know, the risk and chance and giving it a shot. And hopefully she has the patience to stick it out for a long time and find her way through it all. Damn, you're ugly.
And there you go.
And that was not directed at Danica. That was Clint Boyer.
Other questions for Jimmie? I see Diego in the back. Go ahead.
Diego Mejia, Autosport.com. Jimmie, you mentioned last week after the race at Sonoma that you would like to test an F1 car, maybe drive an Indy car one day. Is that really a dream of yours? You see that maybe happening in the near future?
Yeah, I really would enjoy it. The way I grew up, IndyCar racing was really the only asphalt exposure I had as a kid growing up. So I dreamt of racing the Indy 500. Would go to the Long Beach Grand Prix and hope that I could be on that circuit racing at some point. So yeah, I would love to. My path is clearly taking me in a different way. I think it'd be very difficult to get an F1 test, but maybe putting it out there would create it, and it could happen. You know, and even driving an Indy car, if I know the ovals aren't necessarily the safest thing, but just to experience that on a road course would be really good for me. And I think that running the Grand Am car has helped me be a better road course driver, and that would be another step of that, to see things at an even faster speed, the braking zones, the capabilities of a car, how it turns in. And I think the Grand Am Series has been real good for me, and going faster yet would make it even better.
Angelique, wrap it up for us.
Jimmie, going back to the rough driving, you said that you've gotten to the point where you don't have to take crap from anybody, and certainly respect that, and that the number of drivers who race with respect has really shrunk. I mean, do you see this changing the spirit of the sport? I mean, is it splintering now to the point where it's going to be, I mean, no one's respecting anybody, and then what? I mean, will people, is that entertainment, or is that, I mean, what is that?
I don't know. I mean, I think that you have segments of people that tune in just for that, and then the purists of racing that really don't appreciate it. I do think, though, over time, people will realize that racing this way isn't good for them and their teams and their sponsors. And I think at the end of the day, when it starts to impact their livelihood, their potential job, it falls into that category of, man, this guy's wrecked 15 times this year, and we don't care why he is wrecked 15 times, but we're going to make a driver change because he can't keep his cool. It'll start changing things at that point. Right now there's a lot of aggression. And the road courses typically do that, especially Sonoma. We're going so slow. I would also say that this weekend it's a very difficult track to pass here, and we could very well see things continue until we get to a big track and people have a week to forget about being wronged, and we can move on from there.
Thank you, Jimmie. Good luck this weekend.
Yep.